is my second statement for Jimmy Dore and Nico House, which is basically a brief. I'm trying to make it brief. This shit is so complicated that it's going to take a little bit, but this is my second introduction to Jimmy Dore for Jimmy Dore and Nico House, to introduce myself as a DNC whistleblower who got Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown's offices raided. And I just rewatched the first video I made, and I was trying to explain how the unbundling fraud that deliberately omits evidence of the true one underlying condition and manufactures false evidence to support the knowingly multiple false diagnoses has resulted in almost $1 million in false claims against my multiple United and Centene owned Fidelis Medicaid plans. And you're mandated by law to report Medicaid fraud whether you're a detective or not. So when I filed my whistleblower complaint with the SEC, I'm going to tell you what I told them. And it took me 8 hours to write it up and attach all the recordings, all the written confessions, all the recorded threats, all the recordings of the attorneys trying to lie to me, make it a malpractice lawsuit where I sign a non-disclosure agreement and get a malpractice settlement, which is illegal because when they falsify medical records, not only will their malpractice insurance not pay, their malpractice insurance wants the motherfuckers in jail. Which implicates the lawyers, all these health systems lawyers, many of whom are already facing RICO lawsuits in multiple states, besides the felony murder of Michael Brown and Sasha Minu Curry, which I'll get into later. They're knowingly using spoiled evidence in exchange for malpractice rewards. So that's why they're not taking my case. And I made sure I solicited all of them for legal, so they can't say they didn't know. But a lot of this stuff that I am reporting, I'm mandated to report. And I couldn't figure out why everybody kept telling me to let you guys know what I know. And what I watch on your all's channels is you all talking about Medicare for all, why they're avoiding it, why the progressives and Bernie Sanders isn't holding their feet to the fire, why he kowtowed and basically acted as a sheepdog for Joe Biden, why he didn't call bullshit on the election fraud in both primaries. And after the raid on Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown's office, they wrongfully committed me to the psych ward again to try to pierce and find out what was in that sealed indictment. That's why we were sending lawyers trying to make it a malpractice claim, because a whistleblower claim is automatically sealed, because that means public officials are a threat to public safety. And this implicates the Clintons and Trump. Cuomo is one of Trump's many real estate attorneys. I found that out after I gave my roommates a chance to acknowledge they were also victims of Title IX rape and human rights violations and being lied to and manipulated and set up to catch charges. And I found out that they enthusiastically participated in my murder. I went ahead and contacted the press and let them know that I was a whistleblower that got his office raided, and sent them the evidence so they could see it for themselves, and the written threats that they signed, Josh Hawley's Medicaid Fraud Task Force Unit while he was the Missouri Attorney General, officials at the University of Missouri while Chris Koster was Attorney General, and Jay Nixon, Hillary Clinton ally Jay Nixon, was governor, who appointed the Health Net director, Dr. Joe Parks. Centene bought Health Net. Chris Koster, the former Mo Attorney General, is now the Senior Vice President for Centene Corporation, which handles these countries that have universal health care. Centene is their single payer, so they control those doctors. Doctors work for the insurance company. let's say, Jimmy, you're a doctor and you have one patient who's covered by United and another patient that's covered by Blue Cross Blue Shield and another patient that's covered by Fidelis. You have to do things you can't do things across the board as a doctor. You have to do what those individual insurance companies say do. And technically you really don't. But a rule of thumb is they can fire you and prevent you from billing their insurance. In fact, there was a newspaper article in St. Louis where they fired 1,000 doctors. United fired 1,000 doctors in the St. Louis area from billing one of their, I think it was a Medicare program. So this is important, Jimmy, because their United Catholic Health has formed a global monopoly thanks to Lloyd Dean, who helped Barack Obama write the Affordable Care Act and create this marketplace. Now in Arizona, they have a thing called the Arizona Healthcare Alliance, or the Healthcare Alliance of Arizona. Banner, Tenet, which is also a nationwide monopoly that has tons of subsidiaries. Dignity, which is now Common Spirit Health, $29 billion merger with Catholic Health Initiatives. And Honor Health. That's important because the Virginia G. Piper Cancer Treatment Center, Honor Health, Virginia G. Piper is actually Peggy Goldwater and Carol McCain. Barry Goldwater was a top high-ranking military official and an oligarch. Billionaire. She taught Special Forces. She's a Navy helicopter pilot. She testified before Congress about the appropriate application of affirmative action and earned her star, whatever the hell that meant. She is a Homeland Security supervisor. Her ex-husband, John McCain, was an Arizona Homeland Security committee member, all of whom were profiting from this healthcare fraud that maintained segregation by making false criminal allegations in the medical records about drug seeking. That's how Michael Brown got killed. He was red flagged. That's why I was sending everything to the NAACP and Anthony Gray, and sure enough, after a couple years, they thought I'd be dead from the sepsis. They didn't expect our legal team to have nurses and doctors making sure I got cancer treatment and treatment for the sepsis, which, as you can see, I've been stage 4 for 6 years, multiple metastasis in both lungs. It rapidly metastasized to both sinuses. I have a lymph node on my back that's this fucking huge with edema, lymph node full of cancer. I can go out and shovel snow all day. Now, I just got pulled out of septic shock. I was not in so good a shape. I couldn't eat, couldn't drink, and it took about a week of antibiotics to get me right again. And I've just now picked up my appetite. But the point is, they're denying people proper cancer treatment and treatment for addiction and everything else globally. And I couldn't figure out why the people in Australia weren't getting cancer treatment either. And when I started researching these insurance companies and seeing that they were global and Catholic Health was global, it made sense. Chad Cronin was teaching me about Brady violations and police profiling. Doctors are cops. If you look at their HIPAA packets at most of these healthcare clinics and hospitals, it says, we share information with law enforcement as we see fit, and we don't necessarily tell you. So what people don't realize is when they're going to their doctors are making false criminal allegations in the medical records, not telling you, red flagging you with feds, the DEA, and then it trickles down to local police and putting a target on your back. So, and calling you psycho. Making up bogus schizophrenia. They just manufacture shit. Now, I'm going to send you some examples of my medical records and some recordings. And since they made criminal allegations as cops, it's all admissible. That caused my on-the-job injuries, which is workman's comp. And that's just here in Burlington, Vermont. I've been here a year, and the damn retaliation is worse here by Bernie and his friends than it has been anywhere. So, whether Bernie's directly involved or whether he's just going by the advice of his very bad lawyers or what, that's going to be up to my lawyers to get to the root of. But my work comp lawyers are working on it, but they can't obstruct the investigation in New York. They have to work in tandem with those prosecutors so they don't face obstruction charges and getting me my work comp. But back to the point of why I'm contacting you. I'm watching you guys talk about Medicare for All, why the progressives aren't holding their feet to the fire on the Medicare for All vote. What they know as lawyers is that we already have Nancy Pelosi. If you Google top 100 people in healthcare from 2008 to 2016 while Obama was there, you're going to see that he gave most of these CEOs of these big corporations federal badges, including Lloyd Dean was named California State Healthcare Cost Containment. That's Health and Human Services. They're the ones that do oversight on falsification of medical records, patient dumping, EMTALA violations. So Obama appointed people committing the fraud to do oversight on the fraud. Virginia Piper isn't the only one. So they can do a floor vote. They can get you Medicare for All. But the only difference between the universal payer stuff is that they're not going to be able to confiscate people. So people won't be losing their houses because they can't pay the bills. They won't be going bankrupt because they can't pay the medical bills. In some circumstances. I watched Bernie break down what Medicare for All is, and it's not as... it basically, there's a lot of hinges as to whether or not you even get the coverage. It starts at like age 35 or something like that, so still people under the age of 35 can still get cancer, not get treatment, and lose their shit. It just means that less people will lose everything they own. The healthcare isn't going to improve because the people doing the oversight are the ones committing the fraud. They won't make as much money off of it as they did, but ultimately healthcare isn't going to change. And these COVID stats, I watch you guys talk about the COVID policies and masks and this, that, and the other. I'm going to send you a link to a video of a nurse who did the same thing I did.